Sometimes I think about what people like Tim Pool say, that, oh, I haven't changed, the political spectrum has shifted. I'm still a liberal. No, that's not really what's going on. As I've gotten more and more involved in politics, as they become more and more polarized over the past 4 years, I learned that I have changed. And it's not because I'm not the same libertarian, liberal, freedom-loving, fuck-off person that I always was. Don't tread on me. It's that I learned that the party of don't tread on me is not the Democrats, and the wing of get the fuck off my lawn and get the fuck off my business and leave me alone and let me have my freedom, my civil rights, is the right wing. And if any Republican is angry that the liberals have claimed to be the Freedom Party and the Rights Party and the Tolerance Party, and they've successfully convinced everybody that they are when they are absolutely not and never have been ever in history. The only time maybe that they could claim such a thing is the person who's responsible for fucking us all over and starting a lie that continues on now for 20 years. And that's George W. Bush is a fucking piece of shit. And he ruined conservatism for everybody. Now here's the fascinating thing. Is what prompted me to make this video is some comments made by a psychotic, horrific monster bitch named Meghan McCain, the son of former Republican senator, the belated, and thank God he's gone, John McCain. Now, it's weird that she's on this leftist show, The View, among leftist hosts like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, and she's the daughter of one of the worst Bushite-type warmongers that has ever besmirched the fucking Senate floor. But she's the Yas Queen Slay of the radical left? Well, let's look at why. She's mad that Trump wants to withdraw our already limited presence in Syria, and she believes that we are abandoning Kurdish allies to befall the evil fucking Turks from Turkey. Well, the situation is far more complex than she lets on, and the right answer is to leave. And we never should have been there in the first place. I'm going to explain why, but first, we have to look at this fucking insanity that the rabid, warmongering, bloodthirsty demon, who is the daughter of a rabid, warmongering, bloodthirsty demon, both of which right-wing, me, right-wing, and the left-wing people are the ones clapping for said right-wing demon. Why? Well, it's just Trump derangement syndrome. The scary thing is that if I'm supposed to be the liberal from 2004, the anti-Bush liberal from 2004, then why do I look with such horrific disgust at the supposed liberals of today? The answer is they are not, and they in fact may have never been. Because what you're looking at compared against Bushite Republicans is Clintonite Democrats, which is to say apples and apples with green skin instead of red, not apples and oranges. Sort of like the difference between fascists and communists is just, I want to be in charge, no fuck you, I'm going to be in charge, when they're both the same thing, basically, with, well, there is some distinct differences, but ultimately not significant differences. So whenever you hear one of these motherfuckers who say, oh, they pretend like the Democrats and Republicans aren't always colluding, well, there was a period of time where it maybe was so. And it was the John Kerry time, and honestly, it was the Barack Obama time. Barack Obama did not discontinue any of the things that he promised us he would. He continued everything that Bush was evil for, and in fact, he doubled down on all of it. The Patriot Act, the NSA spying, kept Guantanamo Bay open. He expanded the wars in the Middle East, vastly expanded the power of the executive branch to basically subvert the legislature, including in basically declaring war on multiple countries with no Senate vote ever taking place. Barack Obama was a fucking tyrant, just like George Bush was a fucking tyrant. And one of the things they did was start wars like in Syria. So here, let's talk about Syria before we babble on too long. In Syria, we have Assad, who for what he is in the area that he is in, I don't have very many problems with Assad. He was a stabilizer. He was not a ravenous murderer, but he was dealing with an area that had multiple different rebel groups. And you need to realize that Syria is in a sort of Middle Eastern location, very much like Pakistan and Afghanistan, where the idea of a unified nation state is somewhat ludicrous to these people. They are tribal savages. And I mean that literally, as in a correct, accurate definition of what these people are. Tribal savages. The civilized force in the region is Bashar al-Assad. That guy has his shit together. The reason why we get involved in the first place is because there are reports that are sketchy as fuck, completely unsubstantiated, unconfirmed by any US or NATO asset whatsoever, that he has done terrorist attacks on the populace. And the only proof we have of those is some kind of sketchy videos made by rebels who claim to be neutral, but were actually in direct opposition to the Assad regime. There's another rebel group, those are, I believe, are called like the White Hats or something, and I believe they fabricated these terrorist attacks. Keep in mind that these rebels had seized areas where chemical weapons were present. These chemical weapons were never recovered, and they were the same kind of chemical weapons that were supposedly, and may not have ever been, but if they were probably used on the populace by these rebels to try to lure the West into attacking Assad, who, since he's somewhat of an enemy of Israel, of course, the McCainites, those kinds of Republicans, would love to attack him. After all, they've been trying to get us for literally no fucking valid reason whatsoever other than it is the will of Israel to attack Iran for 30 fucking years. We need to attack Iran. We need to attack Iran. Why? The fucking goddamn warhawks, the bloodthirsty monsters in Israel want to fight Iran. We don't have any reason to attack Iran. They don't like us. They've never done anything to us. We've sanctioned the fuck out of them for decades. And that's the extent of our involvement, and should be the maximal extent of our involvement. They want boots on the ground. They want a full-scale invasion. They want us to do them like they did Iraq. That apparently none of us now, whether right or left wing, is okay with what happened in Iraq. That was a great big farce. That's Bush's big folly, right? And yet we're still doing that shit. So we get involved with Syria under the pretense that he's violated the Geneva Conventions. There's no proof of this. There's some evidence he did. There's some evidence he did not. In order to fuck with Assad, we do not actually go and shoot him at him ourselves. At least I don't think we did very often. There might have been some black ops shit. There might have been some of the boots that we did have on the ground that were arming and training people, got involved with some engagements. But one of the first groups we armed to fight Bashar al-Assad was ISIS. Specifically, the Islamic State in Syria. We found out this was a bad idea when they just started attacking shit we didn't want them to, our installations. Bad things happened. They basically took a lot of those weapons and moved them into Iraq and other places to continue, in Afghanistan, to continue fighting us, and in Libya. So, big fucking snafu. One of the chief people we can blame for this, Hillary fucking Clinton. Anyway, we decide, oh, that was a bad idea. Who we should arm instead are Kurdish rebels, who are communists, anti-statist, lunatic communists, the same kind of people who were attacking the United States constantly, assassinated multiple of our presidents, assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand. These same kind of commie rebels is who we were arming instead of ISIS. Not a big improvement, folks. It was another fucking mistake. So after several goddamn years of being involved in here, we decide to withdraw. And what Meghan and McCain says is we are abandoning our friends, our allies, the Kurdish rebels. They are not, and have never been, our allies. They are not our friends. They are proxies. Syria is a proxy war where Russian and Chinese and American and NATO interests have been fucking around, fucking just basically tyrannically globalist fucking goddamn Team America World Police fucking around, embarrassing goddamn blunder after snafu, after intelligence nightmare, after fucking contradictory, we're going to arm our own enemies to fight fucking a guy who shouldn't be our enemy. And oh, look, the people who we are arming who are our fucking enemies are attacking us too because they're our fucking enemies. What retarded shaved chimpanzee made up this fucking battle plan? Is ludicrous. It was cartoonish. It was some dumb bullshit. It's a military industrial complex, an excuse to make and sell and fuck around, and it's all black ops fucking goddamn CIA garbage. The whole thing is a nightmare, and we should have never been there. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of American lives. And Meghan McCain thinks that we are cowardly, monstrous, disloyal, dishonorable monsters for leaving people who are not our friends. They are communist terrorists. Or leaving ISIS. Again, not our friends at all. We've been basically in direct warfare with this group for decades. And then we're leaving because that's a clusterfuck that we had a mighty big hand in starting in the fucking first place that has caused crazy amounts of chaos across all of Europe, as a small percentage of the people who are flooding everywhere are Syrian refugees, and these Syrian refugees are an excuse to let Somalians and a bunch of other fucking people who aren't involved with this conflict come in and be called asylum seekers when they're actually economic migrants. This great big fucking lie that has fucked over all these people. A lot of it has its start in Syria, which is fucking half destroyed because of this fucking chaos, this fucking cartoonish, ridiculous, selfish, evil fucking bullshit that has occurred in this country. And Trump says, hey, how about we fucking leave? And that's the bad move. That's the bad guy move. That's Yas Queen Slay as the bloodthirsty fucking subhuman demon. Meghan McCain is like, oh, I'm so mad. How dare we do this? How dare us ever be there in the first place, you psychotic, ridiculous bitch. I hope you get the same brain tumor that your father did, because the world would be better off without you. You're a monster. You're a liar. You're a retard. Okay, that's my stance on the whole fucking Syrian thing. And how hilarious is it that one of the many claims to righteousness that the left wing supposedly has in America is being anti-war, anti-Team America World Police, anti-meddling, anti-wasting trillions of dollars on fuckery guerrilla warfare in the Middle East. And Trump derangement syndrome is at such a psychotic rate that liberals can look at the monster that they think they've been fighting for decades. The right-wing neocon fascist demon is on their panel, in their show, as their peer, saying the fucking same shit that they were saying for years and years and years, that the liberals were horrified by. And she's saying it to thunderous clapping, art, 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 seal applause. You wonder why I dehumanize leftists? What rational thinking, valuable human being would fall for this bullshit? Okay, I try and fail constantly to cut ignorant people slack. But after a while, it's a new catchphrase to go along with all progressives do is lie. And if you lie in the information age, you are committing evil because everything's information and you are destroying it. On top of that is ignorance is not an excuse. The level that we're at, where we still to this day have people lying about Russian collusion, it's been debunked. Lying about Russian bots, guess what? There are never any Russian bots. It was a cybersecurity firm based out of the American Southwest that made all the Russian bots that followed Roy Moore's account. And those were the only so-called bots. Every time any conservative's ever been on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube and they keep getting called a bot, the robots are the people who believe this shit. They believe that algorithmically a bunch of cheap-ass fucking Russians who never spent more than a couple $100,000 on any efforts to fucking... Some of them tried to help Clinton and some of them tried to help Trump. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you think that they were able to develop the kind of people that are capable of the kind of AI programs that are capable of having a rational argument with Democrats in comment sections and respond directly to them, respond directly to what they say, and follow the train of thought of the conversation? We don't have any AI that can do that, by the way. So usually if you're seeing something, insult you directly, refer to you directly and actually counter your arguments one by one, it's not a bot, okay? No matter who it is, okay? You just don't be fucking ridiculous. Yeah, and then on top of that, we have them trying to say that Trump is crazy. At this point, you have to be crazy to be a Democrat. Things are so unbelievably ludicrous. I mean, I just recently did a video where we're talking about Nancy Pelosi saying that, Trump is getting impeached because he did quid pro quo election finance reform law. And then somebody told her information is not money. It's in the letter of the law that exchanging information is legal. And they go, nope, we're going to impeach anyways because actually money doesn't have to be involved to impeach. Yes, it does. The entire Russian collusion narrative is based on Hillary Clinton receiving the Steele dossier from the Russians. If what Trump has done in talking to the Ukrainian prime minister or president or whatever the fuck his name is, if what he did was illegal and just discussing Joe Biden with that guy, then Hillary Clinton belongs in jail. And she never could have legitimately been the president. But the good news for Hillary and Trump, neither of these two activities is illegal. If Trump actually tries to start arresting people just for receiving the Steele dossier, he would be doing that unconstitutionally. And what the entire House of Representatives Democrats are doing right now is unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's actually sedition. It's high treason. It's a crime. But nothing's going to get done about that. And it's hilarious. And people are still telling us, oh, the Mueller report, oh, it was never finished. We never got to see the incriminating evidence. Somebody got to Mueller. Somebody got to this guy. Somebody got to Comey. Somebody got to Sturzak. Somebody got, we didn't actually receive the full transcript, even though we did under Freedom of Information Act that was granted willingly by Trump. We did get the entire transcript of the Ukrainian call. You're lying. These people are literally balls to the wall lying. And at some point, not only do I not think ignorance is an excuse for this kind of bullshit, believing this bullshit, spreading this bullshit, saying this bullshit, I don't even believe very many of these people are ignorant. One thing to keep in mind is, do you guys know what I swear to God I'll end with this. I didn't mean to go a full 20 minutes. The sunk cost fallacy. This is one of the things that's basically the death knell of people who are gambling addicts, is believing you've bought in too much to quit. You have to see this through to the end by hook, by crook, by cheat, no matter how much you have to basically permanently damage yourself, whether with reputation or money, to continue to fucking buy into this obvious lie. This newscasters at CNN know they're lying. The House of Representatives Democrats know they're lying. The progressive Democrats like Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez know they are lying. They're not stupid. They're not earnest people making a mistake. They know they are lying, and they're doing it for selfish gain. Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. Always accuse your opponent of what you yourself are doing, and do it as soon as possible so that they look like they're doing tit for tat, I'm rubber, you're glue bullshit when they accuse you of doing what you're doing. And if you can continue to lie, and if you can control the media narrative, you never have to prove what you're saying is true. You just keep repeating the lie, and it's proven true. It doesn't matter how many times Trump wins. It doesn't matter how many times people like Rachel Maddow and Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo are proven to be fucking liars. They never get punished for it. They never stop, and there's apparently a never-ending supply of progressive fucking retards who believe the shit about separating families at the border, who believe the shit about everybody who fucking floods the country to the tune of 1 million illegal immigrants per year are all asylum seekers. No, they're not. You're a liar. They're economic migrants. Mexico is a fucking war-torn, corrupt as fuck shithole. Our country is better, and everyone wants to be here instead of there, and it's not actually that hard to get over here and make it here, and there's no shortage of people who will enable these illegal immigrants to be criminally here. And somehow that's some kind of moral issue. Well, I think it's immoral to fuck over everybody who's already here, to give freebies to people who completely subverted the process. It's actually not very easy to legally immigrate here. And Trump has actually been trying to help people revamp the process so it's easier to legally immigrate because he's not against immigrants. The whole he's a racist thing is a lie. He wants to stop what is crippling our fucking economy. Meanwhile, the entire Democrat primary pool, every last candidate, wants to give free American taxpayer money to illegal immigrants. Who's the bad guy? How many times do we have to have this discussion? Who is the bad guy? Who's the fascist? Who is trying to destroy this fucking country and break all the fucking laws? The Democrats. The fucking Democrats. Every goddamn fucking time. And they will resort to fucking pimping out fucking goddamn evil, bloodthirsty, fucking ravenous freaks like Meghan McCain in order to get what they want. They have no principles. They have no policies. They have no fucking conscience. They're evil. And one of the hilarious things, one of the reasons why they try to say Trump is mentally unhinged and crazy is because he's hyperbolic. Well, fucking put me in the fucking straitjacket and throw me in the rubber room. Because I am an unabashed hyperbolic motherfucker. You are subhuman, degenerate, evil psychopaths and should be treated as what you are. You don't deserve charity. You don't deserve honorable handshaking, put up your dukes. You deserve to be put the fuck down through legal means, which you don't respect at all. And it's going to be pretty fucking difficult when an evil, dictatorial, fascistic group that is trying to subvert absolutely every law and human right that is fucking given in this country to destroy this country on fucking purpose. And they have an entire corrupted media that has been fucking turned by communist and Jewish interests for, oh god, it's too much to get into, for fucking decades. Hollywood has twisted the media, and the media has twisted the public. And the thing is, it doesn't take much scrutiny. You don't have to be a political junkie like me to get this shit. I don't even think I'm all that legitimate of a political junkie. The reason why I talk to you at a simple level is because politics is actually pretty fucking simple. And that's the horrifying thing. That's what makes us all black-pilled. It's not that hard to figure this shit out. And yet we're the people who go through the time to actually look at these issues, compare the accusations against the law, and know who's lying. Democrats, every fucking time. We're the crazy ones. We're the conspiracy theorists. We're the ones that the only way you can beat us is not to debate us. It's not to argue your own points and counter to ours. It's to suppress us. It's to fucking erase us. It's to algorithmically demonetize us, take away bank accounts, Google accounts, take away your fucking Subscribestar and your fucking Patreon. And fucking, if they see you in the street, you're lucky if they only milkshake you. They might try to kill you. That's what we're dealing with. And we're the fascists? Are you out of your fucking mind? Yes, you're a batshit insane fucking subhuman, degenerate, evil psychopath. I stand by those words. Prove me wrong.